Once upon a green-screened high school lawn, the actor's mind, the cameras rolled, and somewhere deep in the budget, a hacky sack disappeared. This is not a film. This is prophecy. This is Twilight.
As a proud BitBook, LGBTQ+ on women-dominated space, this sub is for civil discussion only.
As I said to the other commenter, your comment made me laugh, lol. I love my sassy Reddit community. However, continuity errors happen in very big budget films.
If it got kicked outside of their circle, it could draw too much focus. Or the director didn't want them constantly bending down to pick it up.
That said, I can't say this is the actual reason. There are probably easier and cheaper solutions than trying though forgetting to add a hacky sack in post.
I know OP said they were joking, but this is actually normal. The main issue I think would be sound.
Lol, I was just watching this movie last week and they do have a sack ball. You can't see it in some cuts because the frame rate isn't fast enough.
As we're kicking back and forth, along comes a couple of girls our age walking through the campground. I got on an incredible unlucky run.
As a background actor in LA, looks like props forgot to bring them the hacky sack. To keep continuity, they continued the action.
And as you pointed out yourself, sack extra budget bought them much better fashion than Twilight.
In the Scrubs podcast, the actors keep finding old mistakes. My favorite is when they couldn't mop the floor because of noise, so they just faked it.
Not having watched any of the movies, I still found this invisible hacky sack game scene hilarious. It's right up there with the sweeper of nothing and Quantum of Solace.
Somewhere between low-budget charm and unintentional comedy lies a sacred space, where continuity dies and hacky sacks become ghosts. Welcome to the second act, where Redditors become directors and extras become legends.
They blew the hacky sack budget on sparkle effect.
There was no budget for hacky sack.
Invisa sack.
There is no sack being hacked.
The ball is a vampire, so it doesn't appear on photos and film. You guys remembered to add the hacky sack in post, right? Right, guys? Right, guys?
We'll edit it in post. Wait, it costs how much?
Studio to visual effects guy, after you add the hacky sack in Twilight, you're getting canned.
Visual effects guy, well, fuck this shit. Leaves.
I suppose you could headcanon these as warm-ups. Maybe?
They're theater kids playing an imaginary ball game.
It's called Dibble. It's very famous in schools with awkward and unusually pale teens.
Bird thing he'd have a hard time kicking the sack in those boots.
Why is there a random pair of boots behind her?
What's with the random boots?
Those boots weren't bothering no one. Let them random boots be. This blew up on TikTok a while back.
You know someone mischased the hacky sack and interrupted filming.
And she even looks at the camera self-consciously. Did they get that? Are they still filming?
One of the greatest extras of our times.
I still haven't seen any of these, but maybe it's time.
I hated this movie when it first came out, but it truly is comedic lol.
Lol, CGI ball said not my problem and went to lunch.
Budget went to vampire glitter, not props grinning face with sweat.
They're playing Kick the Mosquito, since you know vampires.
They're beating up Harry Potter in his invisibility cloak, obviously.
Top Gun acting. Call that lucky sack.
Air sack supremacy.
It's so camp loudly crying face, I always burst out laughing in the scene with the fan in bio class.
This is one of those moments where the movie becomes accidentally iconic.
Forbidden sack.
They are dancing like Elaine Bennis.
And then they pretend like we won't notice.
Time passes, but Twilight's ghost sack lives on in YouTube essays, in TikToks, and in the collective memory of a generation that grew up on glitter and green screen. Welcome to part 3, where extras become historians and Reddit becomes a Criterion collection.
I was an extra in Welcome to Collinwood way back when, and they just had us throw balls at a brick wall. My scene was sadly cut, but they gave us free Cavs tickets so it was worth it.
In the Scrubs podcast that has the actors go back and talk about the show, they keep finding old mistakes like sweeping air.
I think it's supposed to be hacky sack.
Supposed to be hacky sack footbag thingy. It was trending around the time movie came out.
Movies really make you think everyone knows how to hacky sack.
Did hippies, stoners, and skaters play hacky sack in the Northwest? Absolutely. Can confirm.
Hacky sacks were universal amongst American stoner types and adjacent groups until some point in the 2000s.
There were definitely teenage boys playing hacky sack at my prep high school on the East Coast in the 90s.
Yes. Source born and raised in Western WA.
I'm from Northern California, so not the PNW, but I graduated high school in 2008 and almost everyone I knew fucked around with hacky sacks.
I live in Portland, and a few weeks ago during a really nice day I drove by a bunch of grown men shirtless hacky sacking outside their office and thought, "Ah, spring is here." When pretending to be busy is work.
I worked a remote tech support job, and one day me and a coworker clocked in and just played Yu-Gi-Oh! The entire 8-hour shift lol.
Real ball makes noise. Movie sound editor likes to deal with as little unwanted sounds as possible.
Sound of the ball, plus the chance of it being kicked in the wrong way and damaging something.
It's standard to use CGI for balls since you need consistency.
Maybe shot consistency? If there's an actual ball and they have to do different takes.
The average person is not going to be able to have control over a soccer ball.
If it got kicked outside the circle, it could draw too much focus.
Or the director didn't want them constantly bending down to pick it up.
Extras they hired would have to be proficient. Hacky sack.
Hitting a ball makes a noise. Even a small sound can throw off a great take.
This is the same reason that paper bags and films aren't made of paper but of special materials.
You seem to know a lot more about how sound in movies works than me, so I'll leave you be.
It might fly toward the talent. Ooh.
The extras thought it would be more natural to pretend hacky the sack while it laid on the ground instead of picking it up.
I agree with you. I know some really uncoordinated people that could totally accidentally kick a hacky sack towards the actors.
And so we arrive at the end not of the mystery, but of our capacity to care. A ball was lost, a generation gained something to laugh at, and somewhere, a director still mutters, "We'll fix it in post." This is cinema. This is collapse. This is the hacky sack of history.
The honest trailers for these movies gave me life.
Please see Elmar.
Don't laugh, but I just rewatched this while high. It's a game of hacky sack.
I actually loved the wigs in this one. It was Eclipse that lost its damn mind.
The special edition Blu-ray will add the hacky sack with state-of-the-art CGI, and die-hard fans will say it ruined the peak of modern cinema. Random extras pretending to kick are cheap. Professional sackers get a union rate and benefits.
I thought it was a soccer ball, honestly. Guess I should watch again for research face with tears of joy.
Wow, that's got to be an edit. Writer.
These kids have never hacked a sack in their lives.
I feel like the sensible solution is just not having those extras do that specific activity.
It's not as if hacky sack is core to the narrative of Twilight.
You'll add something in post, right? Writer.
They forgot to add the scene where someone throws it back to them.
I neither had to be a subreddit for this. Thank you.
What you guys have never played Invisible Hacky Sack?
Call it cinematic make-believe. Director will sig it in post.
CGI ball said not my problem and went to lunch.
Movies are weird, man.
Thanks, I hate it, lol.
Why has my twihard best friend been telling me it was made on a tight budget, and that's why the wig and makeup look like that?
Twilight was also different from the that came right after it, where the books were great sellers made into great sellers as they hyper from the movies trickled back to the books.
Twilight was huge before the movies came out. They definitely expected it to be a hit.
Honestly, that's just Catherine Hardwicke's directing style.
Twilight didn't have a nothing budget, but pretending it had a large one is kind of odd.
Not every film falls into big budget or indie with no in between.
It's reached Clinic's level of brand recognition. Like, they're all just hacky sacks now. I can't believe Twilight hate is so big still that people are reaching to act like it had a huge budget when it didn't.
I'm saying if they actually had a ball and the ball ends up disrupting the shot because they kick it too hard toward the camera.
Why would they kick it towards the camera?
They're pretending to play hacky sack.
Then don't have them kicking it around the air.
Oh wait, that's noise.
The sack was never real, but the memes were.